So if you guys are not aware of what's happening with Nexus mods, it's a pretty big story and everybody's talking about it right now. And it has to do with age verification. Now, everybody who's reading this article headline right now is probably saying, well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal with age verification? That's not a bad thing, right? And of course it's not. Age verification for adult content should be a thing. What people have a problem with is how far the age verification is going in the UK and the EU, which is why this is specifically only affecting the UK and the EU, which is very interesting considering that Nexus Mods was just sold off, right, to the company Chosen or whatever they're called. They were just sold off and now they're enacting this change. It's probably due to the new people who are in charge over there. So Nexus Mods is updating their age verification specifically for UK and EU users, where apparently instead of just clicking, I'm 18 or whatever, like it usually is, you now have to do an extra couple of steps of verification that is most likely going to be related to you essentially doxing yourself. You're going to have to submit your ID and all of that to try to verify your age before you can access the, according to PC Gamer, treasure trove of adult mods. So let's check out and see what's going on with this. UK and EU users want to have access to all of those not safe for work Stellar Blade mods. Bro, these people cannot get over Stellar Blade. They cannot get over Stellar Blade at all. They are obsessed with Stellar Blade. It's all they ever think about. Every time they talk about mods on Nexus Mods, they're bringing up Stellar Blade, but for some reason, they don't want to talk about the other mods they show for, like Baldur's Gate 3 mods that have literal dick and balls mods. But anyway, that's besides the point. On Nexus, we'll soon have a tougher time of it as the platform moves to tighten up how it handles access to adult content on its service. The headline item, some form of age verification, is coming. It almost makes you wonder if all of the mods for Eve, and there's probably a lot of them, I've never looked because I don't mod by games, but I gotta imagine that Nexus Mods has a ton of adult mods for Eve, but there's also been adult mods for all kinds of games. To my knowledge, they have adult mods for Skyrim, they have adult mods for Baldur's Gate, they have adult mods for Oblivion, they got adult mods for everything. In a news post published earlier today, Nexus Mods content manager Slug Girl, interesting, informed users that the demands of the UK's Online Safety Act and the EU's Digital Services Act around access to adult content would soon impact the world's largest modding site. The biggest change soon to hit the service is age verification. At some point in the relatively near future, Nexus will implement an as yet undetermined age verification system for the majority of adult content hosted on the site for users in the UK and the EU. And again, keep in mind, it doesn't have anything to do with just clicking a button and saying that you're 18 to view the content. This is taking it one step further. We don't know exactly what that step is going to be, but it is most likely going to be some sort of facial recognition or ID recognition age verification. It says it's currently investigating different means of doing this, but clearly isn't ready to commit to any method in particular just yet. When I reached out to the service to ask which options it was looking at, I didn't get any specifics in the response. You know why they didn't give any specifics? You want to know why? It's because they already know all of them are going to be bad. They know every single specific is going to be bad. Nobody's going to like any of the options that are available, whether it's ID scanning or whether it's facial scanning or whatever the case may be. It is all going to be bad and nobody's going to like it. That's why they're not going to comment on it. That's why. I got to imagine this has to do with the new regime. Right. I don't necessarily think it has to do with Eve from Stellar Blade. I know a lot of people were pointing to the over influx of mods that came from Eve with Stellar Blade, but I don't think that's the case because these mods have been available on Nexus Mods for a very, very, very long time. And of course, the EU and the UK are just being insane over there with certain legislation that they're passing. And this is part of it. So it's all kind of coming together. And of course, Chosen, who just bought Nexus Mods, is not going to want to have a website that is useless. They're going to want to have a website that they can continue to make money off of. So they're going to comply with literally anything they have to in order to keep it running in whatever areas of the world they run it in. It says if you're not in the UK or the EU, you won't be subject to age verification system unless your region happens to pass a similar law requiring it. So that brings up the US, right? So in the US, all you have to do is click yes, I'm over 18 button, and that is it. But according to the Online Safety Act, that's just not enough. According to the UK regulator, they'd want to go past this, and we could probably expect something slightly more interesting than the once Nexus irons out the kinks in his plan, possibly involving official ID like your driver's license or your passport. Though I stress that that's just me speculating about the form of scheme that it could take. What counts as adult content, you ask? Well, that's a great question. Another change Nexus is making on the back of all of this pertains to its mod categorization and tagging system, which will let users see or hide particular kinds of adult content depending on their tag. So we have the whole list here. This is what's going to be considered as the new revised tags for adult content, which will be applied to mods by the Nexus staff and the moderator. So here we go. We got pornographic. We got extreme violence. So even extreme violence, by the way. Extreme violence, yeah, that's not happening. That's adult content. Bad news bears. Harmful substances, which I feel is so broad. It's so broad. But in any case, offing yourself, self-harm, depression, what? Body stigma, eating disorders, swearing or profanity of any kind, and sexualized mods. Dude, so these are so broad. These are so vague. What do you mean depression? Eating disorders? Even cursing. Even cursing. There are some PG-13 rated movies that have cursing. What are we doing? So basically, almost all of the mods that are available on Nexus mods are going to be considered adult content at this point, and they're trying to use this as a means to push the age verification. I don't know what's going on here. It seems very weird to me. I would say this is damn near almost everything, but again, this is very odd to me. In addition, Nexus is it keeps going. So this part I read about, and I would agree with this. I think they should absolutely do this. But in addition, Nexus is introducing automated detection for child sexual abuse material, which that's fucking weird. I didn't realize that was even on Nexus mods. Any content of this nature will be immediately removed, and the user responsible will be banned and reported to the National Crime Agency, a UK law enforcement body. So I don't think that's bad. I think that's a good thing. If you're uploading weird shit like that, very clearly, you probably should be reported, in my opinion. And I feel like they have no choice but to report it anyway, because with this new act, that is going to be a thing. But here's the thing: they only say child sexual abuse material, which I can agree with. But what about like violence, right? What about like if there's something where I don't know, there are some games where you can't like hurt children or off children because they don't want to allow it. Well, so what if they make a mod that allows you to do that? Is that considered a problem? Is that considered like a thing? Right? I don't know how that would necessarily work. You guys can leave a comment on the video and let me know. I don't know how that would work. That new system would apply to pornographic content as no surprise, nor is it particularly shocking that it will limit access to material surrounding offing yourself and self-harm. But extreme violence feels like a very blurry area. It is, considering the nature of most video games. It is, bro. It is. So Call of Duty is extreme violence. Call of Duty is extreme violence. So what are you going to do? Ban all Call of Duty mods unless you give them your ID? Would any and all of the mods for Cyberpunk 2077, which lets you dismember enemies, even force them to commit, suicide, be shuffled into adult category by default? Yeah, it would be. Nexus hasn't said anything, though I've reached out to ask and will update this if they hear back. Nexus says these changes will hit in the coming weeks and months, and I'll be very curious to see how they're received and how smoothly the whole process goes. This is going to be a cluster. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a clusterfuck. Nexus is not going to be able to do this, fairly across the board. This is all going to be manually handled by people and moderators. They're going to be overworked. They're going to be going crazy, going through all the mods, trying to see what's adult, what's not. And I guarantee you at this point, they're going to tag probably 80% of the mods that are on Nexus mods easily, because this list is unbelievably vague. I don't even see how you could get away with having a vague list like this. This is like, bro, I'll put it to you like this, man. From my understanding, there are websites out there like DEG mods. There are websites out there like Ayaka mods that they don't have this. They don't have any of this nonsense. They don't have any of this like exactly like Big Brother stuff. They don't have any of that. I know that I would push people and tell people, say, hey, maybe think about using other websites. And I pushed them before, but I got to be honest with you, I'm pushing people now more than ever. Perhaps check out another website. At this point, perhaps look at something different than Nexus mods if you have not already. Because at this point, especially if you're a UK or EU user, if they're trying to get you to give up your ID or your passport or facial recognition or basically doxing yourself in any way just so you could download some adult mods that are available elsewhere for free with no issues, I feel like you should probably check out some other websites. That's just me personally, because this is insane. This is really, really insane. So you guys can let me know in the comments down below. What do you think? I'm actually curious how this is going to be handled too, because you can report someone to the National Crime Agency, and sure, I'm okay with that if they're putting up content like that. But you also have to admit, at the end of the day, these are not real kids, so they're not real victims. So what crime are you going to charge them with? I guess the possession of child material. And I don't know what the laws are in UK. You guys that live over there, let me know what kind of crazy laws you guys got regarding that, and you could just let me know in the comments down below. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think overall about what Nexus Mods is doing. Are you going to keep using Nexus Mods, or are you going to go find another website? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for all your support, and if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.